Yo, 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 what is up, guys? It's Cone back here again today with another video. The NBA draft has come and went. It almost felt fast after how slow the build-up, especially these last few days, felt leading up to the draft. And I kind of want to talk about the Thunder's draft. I've been, like I said, really anticipating. I've mentioned it a million times on this channel, and it was a really fun draft. A lot of crazy picks that kind of blew some people's minds, including the 6th overall pick to the Oklahoma City Thunder, picking up Josh Giddy. And if you want to see my reaction to that pick, I have a video of it that's up right before this. It was part of a 5-hour live stream of the entire draft that I did. Thank you to everyone who showed up, hung out during that. It was so much fun, and I want to do that in the future for sure. So if you want to see that, make sure you tune in next year for the draft again. But I just want to thank you guys and say that my first reaction to the draft pick was what just happened. If you didn't know, leading up to the draft, it was kind of presumed that the Thunder were going to take James Bucknight. He was someone that the Thunder reportedly liked a lot leading into last year's draft before Bucknight decided that he didn't want to enter the draft. So, having liked a guy in the past, he seemed like a pretty good pick at 6. Why wouldn't the Thunder take him? And I'm not sure, because he ended up sliding a while, and for whatever reason that was, I don't know. But ultimately, it seems like Giddy was the guy. There was a report that the Thunder went to, I think it was California, to meet up with Josh Giddy. I think that's where he was yesterday. And they talked with him for a few hours, saw a workout, and after that workout, they were like, yeah, that's our guy. And it just, I guess, goes to show you how little gets out about the Thunder. The fact that Josh Giddy was 100% the guy. No matter what happened, we were like, yeah, we were going to take Giddy unless, you know, something crazy happens and like a Cade Cunningham fell to 6. But Giddy being our guy, no one saw that coming. Other than Lee Ellis from the No Dunks podcast, he seemed to know. So, what does this mean for the Thunder, and what do I think of this draft class? Like I said, I was shocked when it first happened that we drafted Giddy, but I never hated the pick. I always thought it was going to be a good pick. It just wasn't what I expected. So, what does Giddy bring to the table? And more importantly, what do all of our draft picks bring to the table? Our entire draft class includes Josh Giddy at pick 6. We picked up Trey Mann at pick 18, Jeremiah Robinson Earl at pick 32, and at pick 55, we got Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins' younger brother. So we've got some good players, and I kind of want to talk about where I kind of see each of those players fitting in to this team, and ultimately what the game plan looks like for the Thunder going forward. So, starting with pick 6, Josh Giddy. He is our playmaker. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, good playmaker, and last season he really needed some help. In case you didn't know, Shai led the league in self-creation, which means that he, out of all players in the league, had to create the most shots for himself. And he shot an incredible percentage on them. But you can't do that. That's not sustainable. You can't win a championship if one guy is creating every single shot for your team and no one can really help him out. So, bringing in a guy like Josh Giddy, who's the best playmaker in this draft, he's only 18 years old. He turns 19, I think, in like a couple of weeks. So he's super young. He can grow with a young core, and that means he has such a high ceiling. He just won Rookie of the Year in the NBL, which is an Australian league, and if you watch his highlights and watch him play, you will slowly, like me, start to fall in love with the pick more. Like I mentioned, great playmaker. He's a lot shiftier than I think people give him credit for. He's more athletic than people give him credit for, too. I've seen people saying he's not athletic at all. I don't think that's necessarily the case, and while he's not yet a good shooter, I think there are good shooting mechanics there when you watch his jumper. He seems like a guy that's going to fit into this team well, and I think he's going to benefit a lot from having a guy like Shai next to him to create and help him kind of get better shots. I really like Josh Giddy. I think he's going to be a high upside guy, and picking a guy like that at pick 6, I'm super fine with. I think right now, he and Shai project to be our backcourt of the future with maybe Dort at the 3, or Giddy and Shai are both taller, and Giddy's 6'8", in fact, as a playmaker. He could be a guy that I think could play the 3 if we decide to go with Shai and Dort as our backcourt going forward. But either way, I expect Giddy to start right out of the gate and really get into things immediately. And what this kind of continues to show me is what the Thunder's game plan seems to be, and what I've mentioned in the past is that it seems like the Thunder are going to try and build a team full of guys that can handle the ball and create. One of the biggest problems we had with the Big 3 OKC team, or I guess Big 2 when Harden left, was that we didn't have enough guys that could create outside of our stars. When it was just Russ and KD and Ibaka, Russ and KD were the only 2 guys that could create their own shot. There were a couple guys who could go get us buckets, but most of the time it kind of just turned into ISO ball where it was those 2 guys. It seems like the Thunder are trying to revert those mistakes and say, hey, we're going to get players that can handle the ball, that can create shots for not only themselves, but for others. Because if you look at this team, if you look at our recent draft picks, and we'll get to Trey Mann in a second because he's another example of this, we've got Shea, who we picked up on this team through trade. We've got Josh Giddy, handle the ball, best playmaker in this draft. Pokuševski, who is a good ball handler, and I think if he continues to develop, he's shown a lot of flashes of great passing. He can handle the ball, and he could be our future center. I think he projects more as like a 3 or a 4, but he could run the 5 if we need him to. We've got Dort, who, even though we didn't draft him, he went undrafted. Picking him up, he played point guard a lot in college, and this past season, he showed a lot of potential to handle the ball. We've got Teo Maladone. We've got Ty Jerome, who can handle the ball. Baisley has shown some flashes here and there of being able to handle the ball. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl is someone that kind of has a little more game than a lot of people give him credit for. These are guys that can handle the ball, and I think that's what the Thunder are building. We are trying to create a team that can attack you from any single position, no matter who has the ball in their hands. Anyone can bring the ball up the court. Anyone can make a play for themselves or their teammates. And Giddy, I think, is a prime example of continuing to build that mold. So going forward, these are guys that I think the Thunder are going to continue to take. I think we're going to keep trying to take guys that can play make their own shot, and help the team out as a whole. And I love that. I think that's the future of the game, is what we saw with Nikola Jokic this past season, or just overall over the course of his career. You can be really successful when someone outside of a point guard is playmaking for you. Basketball is becoming positionless, and I think part of that is having more guys that can handle the ball. Not just shooting, not just having like a taller player play point guard a la a Ben Simmons type thing. I think the future of basketball is having guys that can handle the ball and create shots and opportunities. I think the Thunder are getting on the wave early, and I think that's going to pay off a lot in the long run. So I like the Giddy pick a lot. I think I'm going to get a Giddy jersey at some point. People have been telling me not to, but if you think I should get a Giddy jersey, let me know in the comment section below, and let me know what you think of the pick, whether you're a Thunder fan or an outsider. I promise you, Giddy's going to be great. I have a lot of faith in the guy. Next, we have Trey Mann. I love this pick. Trey Mann is a perfect fit for this team because, similar to Josh Giddy, we needed more playmaking, and Trey Mann can help do that. But what Trey Mann really helps is shot creation and getting a bucket. I project Trey Mann. I think he could be our 6th man for like the rest of time. Trey Mann is he can create his own shot off the dribble so easily. He was a 40% 3-point shooter as well, which gives Shea a huge threat to pass to on the outside, which is super exciting because this team needs some shooting. I love that pick. I think he's going to be a steal there at pick 18. I'm happy we ended up going with him. Another thing I do want to talk about is the fact that the Thunder traded the 16th overall pick for 2 future firsts. I don't mind that move at all. It seems like the Thunder really weren't feeling the guys that they had there at 16. It seems like Trey Mann was their guy, and they were like, I think he's going to fall to 18 anyways. So they decided, why not get 2 future first-round picks? And despite taking 4 guys in this draft, we ended up picking up 3 future first-round picks over the course of this draft with the Rockets trade, and picking up Derek Favors after the draft, taking on his contract for a first-round pick. So not only did we get some more players, we continued to stockpile assets, which shout out to Sam Presti for that. So after Trey Mann, we had picks 34 and 36, which we condensed, traded up to pick 32 to pick Jeremiah Robinson-Earl out of Villanova. He's a 6'9" power forward. I think he could play some small ball center if we decide to go that route. Space the floor, can handle the ball in the post. He's got great footwork. That's the main thing I noticed watching film of him. He is incredible in the low post, even in the mid-range game. He's going to be really good. I think he's a solid role player is the way I project him going. And you need to pick those guys at some point in the draft. Not every pick can be this home run pick a la a Pokuševski or like a Josh Giddy. Sometimes you've got to take more like role players or guys that are more like sure things in terms of being solid pieces going forward. Not everyone can be a star. Jerry could turn into a star, but for right now, I project him as more of a role player, and I think he's going to be a great floor spacer and a great guy to help out SGA, Giddy, and the rest of the squad. That's crazy to say. Giddy and SGA and the rest of the squad. And finally, we have Aaron Wiggins at pick 55. I don't know much about Aaron Wiggins, but someone DM'd me. I'm going to see if I can find his name real quick. I'll drop his Twitter in the description below if you want to go drop him a follow, because shout out to him for giving me this information on Aaron Wiggins. He sent me this long, detailed like paragraph about what Wiggins is good at and what I should be looking for. And what he said is that Wiggins really just needs to work on aggression. He's a pretty solid finisher at the rim. He can shoot the ball, and he thinks that Wiggins could turn into a 3-and-D type guy, which is exactly what this Thunder team needs going forward. He thinks that at his peak, maybe he could be like a 3rd option on a pretty good team. That's cool with me if that's what we're going to get at the 55th pick. It's a swing. And why not take a guy that has the potential to have some upside? He was behind a lot of really good guys playing at Maryland, like a Bruno Fernando is an example. And so he really never got the opportunity to shine the way that he might be able to in the NBA. Plus, if you know anything about the way that Andrew Wiggins, his brother, plays in OKC, if this Wiggins plays anything like the way that that other Wiggins plays in OKC, we're going to be pretty good. So that was the Thunder's draft class. Like I mentioned, we traded for Derek Favors after the draft, and he's now our starting center. I think at this point, if I have to project a starting lineup right now, I think it's Giddy, SGA, and Dort at the 1, 2, and the 3. I could see any combination of Dort, Giddy, and Shea playing those 1, 2, 3 positions. Then I think we're going to start Poku. I think Poku is the way to go. Apparently, he's skipping the Summer League to keep working on his game and developing, which I'm cool with. I think that's good for him. And I'm hopeful for a big season from Poku. And then I think Derek Favors slots in there at the 5. I know that leaves Darius Baisley out of the starting lineup, but I really think right now that's the lineup we're going to go with. And if that's our lineup going forward, I'm super excited for this season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a developmental one. I know a lot of people are upset that we didn't get like a Mobley or something. I promise you, Sam Presti tried to trade up. It just didn't end up happening. And ultimately, if no team wants to trade down, you can't trade up. I know that this is going to be another rebuilding year. We're not going to be very good once again. And I think people were kind of hoping we would end up like getting a huge home run in the lottery, getting picks 1 and 5, and having like a Cade, Shea, like a Kuminga or a Barnes, or maybe we could have even had a Suggs, I guess, as like our core going forward alongside Dort and Poku. But that's not the way things worked out. And I think with the way that the lottery kind of screwed us over, I think we did a phenomenal job in this draft. I'm really excited for these prospects going forward. Let me know what you think of the Thunder's draft class and of the Thunder going forward. Did you like the draft? Did you hate it? And either way, tell me why. I appreciate you guys watching. Be on the lookout for another video probably later today talking about kind of what I think of each team's draft. I'm going to do like a winners and losers type thing and really just kind of go over what do I like about each team's draft class. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you guys later. Real one, say